And I've seen actually fish, a lot of times they'll swirl on it, that really shallow bite I'm telling you about. Or if you're on cypress trees, a lot of times you pitch out there, and a Texas rig does work really well. I mean, you can use a lighter weight and get this slower fall so the bait stays in visibility for the bass to see it longer. But the drop shot also, it's got an advantage is the bait stops up at the bottom when it hits. So, cypress is a really good example. They have knees that come out, or actually the tree comes out and like kind of fins. So you got all these notches in it. And if you throw a Texas rig in there, a fish could lose it. I mean, to me, a fish, when you pitch on a cypress tree, it's like that big around. When you pitch on that tree, he knows something's there. Like if he's on the back side of it, he's gonna sense it with his lateral line or just whatever they have. Maybe it might even smell, but it's more lateral line. They're gonna feel something happen. If my bait goes to the bottom, I say a jig or a Texas rig, that fish might have to look for that bait. And by that time, I might be pulling out and flipping to the next tree. Well, a lot of times that when I flip that drop shot out, and a lot of times I'm fishing that kind of stuff or your stuff around here, like Grand Lake, or I haven't been to a lot of lakes, but I'll fish a bigger worm, like a 6-inch fat worm, a lot. And I didn't start how I'm getting a little backwards, but the way I'm telling you how I'm fishing these trees, I usually throw like a 7-foot or a 7-foot 3, like a something to pitch on bait caster, and this is where I can spend a little time. But the bait caster with like 14, 16, or even 20 pound, it doesn't really matter, but heavy line. And all I can say is when I tie a good knot, I use a uni with 6 wraps, and I usually double a line, make a loop, run it through the eye of the hook, but I do 6 wraps on it, and then run it back through, pull it tight, and then run your tag end through. Just make sure you're not, because when you're speed shotting, I call it, and that's what we're doing, you're reeling it in a lot, and if that worm is underwater at all, if it's the knot soft-centered on your hook, if it's not straight off the end, if you get the eye of the hook, if you're not kind of off to the side a little bit, it'll cause that worm to spin. So, I mean, I'll constantly check it. If not, like look at it, I'll just kind of look at it as I pull it up and then pitch it again. Just make sure you're not straight on the eye of the hook. And make sure you rig your worm on straight. Not that it's going to catch more fish, it's just going to keep your line from twisting. Because when I'm speed shotting, I still, even when I keep my worm straight and I keep my hook straight, I still get twists. You're still going to get more twists than you would with Texas rigs. That's the price you pay. That's why I don't like drop shotting, but I do it all the time because it's so effective. So in that situation, I do throw a bait caster, especially a lot in the spring, and I just fish the fall. I let it fall, and a lot of times, depending on how good they're biting, sometimes you just fish the fall, reel it up, fish the fall, reel it up, and it's real fast. And I've compared it to Texas rigs maybe thousands of times over the last 15 years. And a drop shot almost always catches them quicker. And it may be a fish or two an hour or a fish or two a day, but it does catch them faster in almost every situation, especially in the spring. Just because it's elevated, it's more visible. You can do more with it. Say the bite shuts down, they're generating, and all of a sudden they stop generation, the water starts backing up, and then I can spend a little more time and pitch it to where on choice trees or objects and let the bait fall on the weight. So I got the capabilities of like a Cinco or a stick bait, like a heavy stick bait. So you can really do anything. It's I don't know. It's so versatile of way you can fish it. You can adjust just with the leader length or like the rate, like I said, the rate of fall. Or if they're really biting good, like they were when I was up in Louisiana, I started off with an 1/8 ounce, and I found that they were hitting it. I'd pitch out in the tree and they'd be on, and as soon as I pick up, and I'd be on right away. It's just a matter of getting in front of one. So then I actually went to a 1/4 ounce, which is a way more effective, way more easy to pitch. So the weight selection to me is really important, and I keep weights in my pocket. I got zipper pockets in my, what do you call them, yoga pants? So I keep like 3 or 4 different sizes, usually 3 sizes. I'll have like, depending on what I'm doing, if I'm up north, I got like 3/8 and half, and I might have a couple quarters in my pocket. But I usually keep like, around here, I'd probably fish like an 1/8 to like a 1/4 ounce. But in the spring, I guarantee I'd probably fish an 1/8, probably 85% of the time. If the wind picks up and you get a storm, and in those situations, usually I'm doing something else anyways, and don't have to drop shot and throw on a spinnerbait. Where I'm talking about conditions that are tough, hard to get bit, that's slick out, a lot of pressure, especially pressured lakes. A lot of guys fish in the area, which we know that happens, especially when you want to, in the time you want to go fishing. It seems like there's like a lot of boats out there, and this is a technique for that. But in that same situation, like the next day, if it's storming or if we got some heavy winds blowing, I hardly ever drop shot, or I usually find a reaction bait, and that's just easier to cover water and they eat it good. So this is for those tough situations. And it works same with the Dropshot Texas rig. And a lot of times I do, like on a Texas rig and a Dropshot, there are times when fishing those waters, and I know that I do pitch on a bait caster a lot with 10 pound. And a lot of times it's just because I'm using a small weight and maybe a smaller worm, a little more finesse, maybe post-spawn, summer, maybe if you're in one of those lakes, and we fish so many different places, it does come up often. I don't see it happening that much here from what I've seen fishing around these lakes. But we do go parts of the country where dropping down line size may help you get some more bites.
It's Mike Iaconelli. This is Bass U TV.
Here's what's awesome about Bass U TV.
You get the top instructors.
You will learn things at Bass U that you will learn nowhere else.
We take the mystery and the myths out of bass fishing.
Real tools that help you catch more fish consistently.
At Bass U TV, shoes are optional.
And I like turtles.
And that's why you want to check out Bass U TV.
Join the Bass U family.
Welcome to Bass U TV.